Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike, the intern, Ned Reynolds, back in the studio on a Thursday morning. Now, Ned, you're not always wrong. You're not always right. But you've already made this phrase once this week, and I really don't want to talk about it because it's kind of scary, but I'm hoping you're wrong in the fact that you believe this Chiefs-49ers game is going to be a trap game. Is that right?
I'm going to rephrase that. Not a trap game, but a sleeper game.
Oh, look at you with the lingo.
All righty, there is a difference. The trap game is one there's no way you can lose. No way. And you end up losing because of variable. Indianapolis game was a trap game.
That was a trap game.
This is a sleeper game. This is a game that the Chiefs should win. But there's no guarantee because the San Francisco 49ers have the capability of really making things rough for them. Otherwise, the Chiefs have to play their best. And I know they will, and I think they will win. But over and above that, you better be at your top of the game. For instance, 49ers fell into a sleeper game of their own last Sunday against Atlanta. They should have beaten Atlanta, and they didn't. The Falcons came back and won. Well, this time, it's the 49ers who are in that sleeper category. Garoppolo can throw. I think a lot of these teams are figuring out now that they can throw on the Chiefs' defensive backfield. It isn't great. It will be in time, but it isn't great right now, and there's still some injury problems. So I think that's probably what the Niners are going to do. Garoppolo can throw. That's one given, and the 49ers offensive line is fair. I wouldn't call it great, but fair. What the Chiefs will probably do is probably try to put a lot of pressure on Garoppolo. He's not greatly mobile, but they do have a good line, and if they can beat that pressure, they'll give the Chiefs an awful tough time. Kansas City is a 1.5-point favorite in this one. You
feeling good about that? That's pretty close, man. 1.5 points. That's not a lot.
That's a pick'em. I'm looking at the numbers, and I'm not an algorithms individual or into all these statistics and so forth, but the Chiefs are down in the lower regions on defense. They're ranked 28th and 1 in what's called the DVOA, and that's a new category called Defense Value Over Average, whatever the hell that means. And the drive success rate, they're only 30 in this one, and there are only 32 teams. Well, the Chiefs still have some tightening up on that defense. And we saw that last week, but Buffalo is a different animal. They're a very good football team. In fact, they may be they're number one right now. 49ers don't fall into that category, but they do fall into the troublesome situation, and that's what has me a little bit worried. I think the 49ers will throw all sorts of defensive packages at Kansas City and try to confuse them. Could be a very good football game.
You're absolutely right, and you know what? At least they always give us a game. All right, we definitely need to talk about that Hall of Famer who passed away from the scene, don't we?
This really kind of bothers me a little bit because when I was a small kid growing up, Charlie Trippi was one of the great football players in America. He was an All-America at Georgia. He took time out to fight in World War II, came back and finished his career at Georgia, and then was in what was called the Chicago Cardinals' dream backfield. Now, this was... most folks who are listening to this, they're, what is this? Well, the Chicago Cardinals are now the Arizona Cardinals. But back then, they played at Comiskey Park in Chicago, and the Bidwell family, which owned them at the time, decided they were going to spend a lot of money for them. And they got Charlie Trippi as their key man, and sure enough, they played back-to-back national championships in the NFL, won in 47, lost in 48. Trippi played until about the mid-1950s. And then was taken into the College Football Hall of Fame in 59, Pro Football Hall of Fame in 68. He is one of the great American football players. You can't really feel sad because he's 100 years old and passed away yesterday. He was one of Georgia's all-time greats, though, Charlie Trippi leaving us.
Made the game when it is, or at least when it was great.
When I was a kid, his name was golden.
Yeah, he definitely was. All right, let's switch to college football. You know, it's funny. You call it the Big 12, but in reality, it's the Big 10. But pretty soon, it's going to be the Big 14.
We got to change the name of it.
It's just a number guess. We're not sure how many teams we have in this conference, but it's between 10 and 14.
It will. Next year, it'll be 14.
That's why they say it's 12.
Next year, 14. And you say, well, how are they going to schedule this? Well, they announced yesterday, they being the current Big 12 conference, said we're not going to go into divisions. Boy, how are they going to do this? Well, the fact is, you're going to play 9 of the opponents during the course of the year, and then everybody will play everybody else at least once during a 2-year period. So who are the 4 new teams coming in? Well, into the Big 12 come the University of Central Florida, Cincinnati, Houston, and Brigham Young. They all join what we now call the Big 12, and that will be next year, next fall. As a matter of fact, these schools are all going through now their schedules to reschedule some of these individuals and put their names in. I looked at Oklahoma's schedule to see how they're going to handle this. They left dates blank. So they're obviously going to fill to a certain point if they haven't joined the SEC by then. And probably they will in 2024.
You know, it also is kind of interesting that they're making them kind of hold on that, because that means a lot of money for certain teams.
TV.
You know, yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes down. But I'm glad that some teams are joining into the Big 12, because that's as a Wildcat fan, that is my conference, and more competition means more fun. It's kind of nice to see some new blood. You know,
that traditional rivalry between Kansas State and Central Florida. That'll be a big one.
It starts next year, baby. So pretty interesting end to that Padres game yesterday. You had brothers involved, that doesn't happen. I mean, that does not happen very often, especially the outcome, a game decider between 2 brothers. I wonder if they had a conversation after that game yesterday.
Oh, I'm sure they did. And also mom and dad.
Yeah, I'm sure mom and dad, but they probably remained out of it.
The younger brother is the Nola who catches for the Padres, and his older brother Aaron is the one who pitched for the Philadelphia Phillies. Aaron Nola is a tremendous pitcher. All-America, LSU. Just completely got the Cardinals through, got the Phillies through the Cardinals and through the Atlanta Braves, and did it himself. Well, he ran out of gas yesterday, didn't pitch very well at all. Philadelphia had a 4-0 lead in this game. Back come the Padres, scored 2 runs in their half of the 4th inning, and then 5 runs in the 5th, and that's what put it away. And San Diego wins it by a score of 8-5. San Diego's a good San Diego's a good baseball team. They were a good football team a number of years ago, but they aren't now. They're in Los Angeles now, but again, when you take a look at the scope of things, that the San Diego Padres can play, and they've got a lot of good component parts to their team. Whether or not Soto and Machado and some of these people come around and continue to play, that remains to be seen, because the next 3 games in this series are in Philadelphia, and that begins tomorrow night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon. See what happens. Could be interesting, but regardless, the winner goes to the World Series. American League Series did open last night in Houston, and the Astros got a 4-2 win over the New York Yankees. They hit the long ball. Houston can do that down in their own ballpark. At Minute Maid Park is a bandbox, and you can hit the ball all over the place, and they did. Of course, the other team can too. Yankees did not. Final score was 4-2 Astros. They will play again this evening, and then that series takes tomorrow off and moves to Yankee Stadium for 3 games. Hopefully, the weather will warm up a little bit, but I'm afraid they may be having the cold weather that we've had.
I know you want the Phillies there, obviously. If the Phillies were to beat the Padres, who would you want them to face, the Yankees or the Astros?
Yankees. Because the Astros are a better team.
Yeah, so you think the Astros might be the dog in this one, huh?
Well, they're very tough. They are a very good baseball team. They've been there before. They've been there for several years now. Oh, I know they have that taint of having stolen signals, but what else is new? That started in 1901, and they continued it. Got caught using electronics, but all right, so what? It's still a good baseball team.
Yeah, I wonder what they're stealing now, huh? Kind of makes you wonder. All right, where do the Bears, the men's basketball team, rate in the preseason valley?
The women's rankings came out 2 days ago, and Belmont was the number 1 team, and the Lady Bears were 6th. All right, the men's ranking came out yesterday, and Dana Ford and the Bears are picked to finish 4th in the league. Now, this is a 12-team league this year. 2 new teams, actually, there are 3 new teams coming in. But the fact is it's a total of 12, and the Bears are number 4. Who is number 1? Well, it's Drake University. The Drake Bulldogs have loaded up. They have almost everybody coming back. They'll be very good. Bradley is 2, Southern Illinois is 3, and the Bears are 4th. Well, I hope so. This Bears team is all new. Mike, these are all new players, 11 newcomers to the team. Now, how do you bring them together? They're very good. They've got some good talent. But basketball is a team game. It is not one person. You don't have one star on the ball club. how they're going to get them together, that's where the pressure falls on Dana Ford, the coach. He's got to bring them together, make them play as a team, and if they do, they could be pretty good. But we're going to find that out. Season begins, get this, in 2 1/2.
I know you're excited to get back into Shea.
It is basketball, and it is part of our culture down here. But we have a culture of winning as well.
Yeah, we need to get back to that. But like I was going to say, I'm glad Shea Reynolds will be opening up at the arena soon, your overnight spot.
I do sleep there.
Speaking of sleeping, hopefully the Missouri State Bears football team isn't sleeping when they take their road trip this weekend.
They won't be. They've got to win. There is just no option. In fact, it may already be too late. That's over. We don't know that until the playoffs come out. But the Bears have lost 3 straight conference games. It's pretty rare to have a team go on a 3-game losing streak. That means they've got to win all 5 of their remaining games. That begins this Saturday at the Unidome in Cedar Falls, Iowa. In the past, it has been an absolute house of horrors for the Bears. They've never won up there until most recently, and that's during the COVID year. They went up there, beat Northern Iowa. I think it's 13-7, if I'm not mistaken. Northern Iowa is not the Northern Iowa team they've been in the past. They were an omnipotent power under Terry Allen and really deserved everything they got. They sent a number of players to the pros, a good program. They still are good, but they are not the strong team, not the overpowering team that they were in the past. The Bears can win this game. They need to win this game. They need to win every game from here on in, and Coach Petrino and company know it. So we'll see if they've absorbed the lesson in a week off and get up there and play some pretty good football.
Yeah, let's hope they can get a win. They definitely need to right the ship before it's way too late. 'Cause it's almost too late now. It's definitely too late for us. I'll see you tomorrow.